E.N.D. here. In the world of classic fairy tales, every story concludes with a cheerful, happily ever after, and the singular event calls for a grand celebration. Celebration takes a center stage as a new mechanic in Wilds of Eldraine. Celebration is an ability world that triggers if two or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn. But how do you play Celebration? Let's build our battlefield and let's put in play Grand Ball Guest for 1 and 1 red. It's a 2/2 with Celebration, gets +1/+1 and has trample as long as 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn. Let's put Grand Ball Guest there. At this stage, because only Grand Ball Guest entered the battlefield under my control this turn and no other non-land permanent entered the battlefield, Celebration doesn't trigger. Scenario 1. Let's cast a creature spell, Monster Mentor. Monster Mentor has a particular ability that whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you will create a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess. Let's put Monster Mentor there. Now I'm going to cast an artifact, a non-creature spell, the infamous Reckoner Bankbuster. When I cast Reckoner Bankbuster, the ability of Monster Mentor will trigger and I will create a monk token. The monk token will enter the battlefield. As the monk token entered the battlefield and as it's the second non-land permanent that entered the battlefield under my control this turn, the Celebration ability of Grand Ball Guest will trigger and he will get a +1/+1 and trample. When Reckoning Bankbuster resolves and hits the battlefield, Celebration doesn't further trigger. Scenario 2. Let's cast a battle card, Invasion of Gobagan. Because Invasion of Gobagan is a non-creature spell, Monster Mentor will trigger and I will put another monk token. At this stage, Celebration doesn't trigger because only one non-land permanent entered the battlefield under my control so far. Invasion of Gobagan, it's a normal battle spell, therefore it will go on the stack. There can be a counter, there can be a response. If the spell is countered and doesn't enter the battlefield, Celebration will not trigger. If the spell is not countered but my opponent shock my monk token, Celebration will trigger because the token had indeed entered the battlefield. Nothing happens and Invasion of Gobagan will hit the battlefield. At this stage, 2 non-land permanents enter the battlefield under my control this turn, therefore Celebration will trigger. Scenario 3. Let's cast Flicker of Fate and I will exile target creature. I will exile Monster Mentor. Flicker of Fate is a non-creature spell, therefore I will create another monk token. Let's put it there. And that's 1. Monster Mentor will be exiled and returned on the battlefield, and that's 2. And because 2 non-land permanent entered the battlefield under my control this turn, Celebration will trigger. Some notes. Celebration triggers only once. The 2 non-land permanents doesn't have to enter at the same time. It also doesn't matter what happened to the permanents after they entered. They may no longer be on the battlefield. They may be under someone else's control. They may somehow have turned into lands. As long as they were non-land permanents when they entered under your control and there were at least 2 of them, Celebration abilities will trigger. Gaining control of a permanent that's already on the battlefield doesn't count as that permanent entering the battlefield. Turning a land you control into a non-land permanent doesn't count as that permanent entering the battlefield. On the other hand, flickering a non-land permanent does count as that permanent entering the battlefield. You can trigger Celebration during your opponent's turn. For example, creating tokens or casting flash spells. Anything that enters the battlefield under your control during the turn, artifact, creatures, enchantments, planeswalkers, battles, and any token creation will trigger Celebration. So that's how you play Celebration. Personally, don't underestimate this new mechanic. Leave a comment below, what do you think about this new mechanic in Wilds of Eldraine? And as always, such important here, subscribe to my channel for more and more interesting videos about Magic the Gathering and the collectible world.